Most men think they know when a woman is in love. They look for big gestures, emotional confessions, constant attention, dramatic displays of affection. But deep love doesn't look dramatic. It looks intentional. It looks calm. It looks consistent. Because when a woman is truly, deeply in love with you, she doesn't just feel differently. She moves differently. She prioritizes differently. She protects differently. And the truth is, the signs are subtle, powerful, and impossible to fake long term. Here are 7 things women only do when they're deeply in love with you. Attraction is immediate. It's reactive. It's sparked by what the eyes see, what the ego feels, what the imagination creates. It thrives on mystery, tension, and unpredictability. Deep emotional love, on the other hand, is intentional. It is built slowly through emotional safety, shared values, and consistent behavior over time. Attraction is often about how someone makes you feel in the moment, excited, desired, validated. Deep emotional love is about how someone makes you feel in your nervous system, calm, secure, understood. One is driven by chemistry, the other is sustained by character. And many people confuse the intensity of attraction with the depth of love, simply because attraction feels louder in the beginning. Attraction focuses on potential. It sees what could be. It projects fantasies onto the other person and fills in gaps with hope. That's why attraction can ignore red flags. It feeds on uncertainty and thrives in emotional highs and lows. The unpredictability creates adrenaline, and adrenaline can feel like passion. But deep emotional love doesn't rely on fantasy. It sees reality clearly. It acknowledges flaws, differences, and imperfections, and stays anyway. Love is not blind. It is aware and accepting. Where attraction asks, "How do you make me feel right now?" love asks, "Can I build a life with who you truly are?" That shift from emotion to evaluation is the turning point between temporary desire and lasting connection. Attraction is often self-focused. It is about the experience of wanting and being wanted. It enjoys the chase, the validation, the spark of being chosen. Deep emotional love becomes other-focused. It begins to consider the other person's needs, boundaries, and long-term well-being. In attraction, effort is fueled by excitement. In love, effort is fueled by commitment. Attraction may disappear when circumstances change. Distance, stress, routine. Deep love adapts. It evolves through seasons. It does not panic when novelty fades because it is not dependent on novelty to survive. It is rooted in trust, not thrill. Attraction reacts emotionally. It can swing between obsession and withdrawal. It is sensitive to perceived rejection and easily shaken by insecurity. Deep emotional love is regulated. It communicates instead of assuming. It seeks clarity instead of drama. When conflict arises, attraction may interpret it as incompatibility. Love sees it as an opportunity for understanding. Attraction fears vulnerability because vulnerability risks losing the upper hand. Love embraces vulnerability because emotional intimacy strengthens the bond. One protects the ego, the other protects the connection. Perhaps the biggest difference is sustainability. Attraction can be powerful but unstable. It is intense but fragile. It can fade as quickly as it began if it is not supported by deeper alignment. Deep emotional love is quieter but stronger. It does not need constant stimulation to remain alive. It is reinforced through consistency, shared experiences, and mutual respect. Attraction says, "I want you." Deep love says, "I choose you," especially on days when emotions fluctuate. And that choice, repeated over time, is what transforms a temporary spark into a lasting foundation of emotional security, loyalty, and genuine partnership. When a woman feels emotionally safe, the first thing that shifts is her nervous system. She is no longer operating from defense, caution, or hyper-awareness. Many women move through the world guarded, analyzing tone changes, reading subtle signals, protecting themselves from disappointment. Emotional safety quiets that constant scanning. Her shoulders relax, her responses slow down. She doesn't feel the need to overthink every message or brace herself for inconsistency. Instead of reacting from fear of loss, she begins responding from trust. And that internal calm changes everything about how she shows up in the relationship. You will notice that she communicates more openly, not louder, not more dramatic, just clearer. When a woman feels safe, she stops testing and starts expressing. She tells you what bothers her instead of expecting you to guess. She shares what she needs without feeling ashamed for having needs. Emotional safety removes the fear of being too much or too emotional. She no longer feels like she has to shrink her feelings to keep you comfortable. Instead, she trusts that her honesty will not be punished or dismissed. That shift from guarded silence to open dialogue is one of the strongest indicators that she feels secure with you. Her softness becomes more visible. This does not mean she loses her strength or independence. It means she allows you to see the parts of her that are usually hidden, her doubts, her insecurities, her childhood wounds, her unfiltered thoughts. A woman does not reveal those layers to someone she feels uncertain about. Emotional safety invites vulnerability. She laughs more freely. She admits when she is wrong. She asks for reassurance without turning it into a game. The need to maintain control fades because she no longer feels like she is fighting for stability. She feels supported rather than evaluated. Another noticeable shift is consistency. When a woman feels emotionally safe, her behavior stabilizes. She is not hot and cold. She is not withdrawing to see if you will chase. She does not create unnecessary distance to protect herself. Instead, she becomes steady. She checks in because she wants to, not to measure your interest. She invests without constantly calculating the risk. Emotional safety allows her to give without fearing that giving means losing power. She understands that mutual effort does not weaken her position. It strengthens the bond. Her respect deepens as well. Safety breeds admiration. When she trusts your character and your emotional stability, she leans into partnership instead of competition. She supports your goals without feeling threatened by them. She values your leadership without feeling controlled. Emotional safety eliminates the need to challenge everything defensively. It creates space for cooperation. She feels comfortable aligning with you rather than bracing against you. That alignment is not submission. It is trust in your consistency and integrity. Most importantly, when a woman feels emotionally safe, she invests long-term. She begins to think in terms of we instead of just me. Her decisions consider the relationship's future. She protects the connection instead of testing its limits. She chooses clarity over chaos. Emotional safety transforms love from something fragile and reactive into something grounded and intentional. It allows her to be fully herself without fear of abandonment, criticism, or emotional unpredictability, and that freedom reshapes the entire dynamic between you. When a woman is deeply in love, her sacrifices are rarely dramatic or theatrical. They do not come with speeches or reminders. They show up quietly in the background of everyday life. She adjusts her schedule to make space for you without pointing out what she moved around. She chooses her words carefully during stressful moments to avoid adding pressure to your day. She absorbs small inconveniences so that you can experience ease. And she does this not because she feels obligated, but because love naturally shifts her priorities. What matters to you begins to matter to her, and that internal shift changes how she allocates her time, energy, and attention. One of the most subtle sacrifices is emotional restraint. When she feels hurt, she may pause before reacting, not because her feelings are small, but because she values the relationship more than the impulse to release frustration. She reflects before speaking. She asks herself whether the issue needs escalation or gentle conversation. That level of self-regulation is effort. It requires maturity and emotional discipline. She is choosing the long-term health of the bond over the short-term satisfaction of winning an argument. And often you will never realize how many reactions she softened, how many words she filtered, how many moods she managed internally for the sake of stability. She also sacrifices independence in small, intentional ways. Not her identity, not her strength, but her absolute autonomy. She begins consulting you on decisions she could easily make alone. She considers how her choices affect your shared future. She may compromise on preferences, what to watch, where to travel, how to spend weekends, without keeping score. These are not grand gestures. They are quiet integrations. She is slowly weaving her life with yours, thread by thread, without demanding recognition for every adjustment. Love makes collaboration feel natural rather than forced. Another subtle sacrifice is social energy. A woman deeply in love may decline certain invitations or distance herself from environments that create tension in the relationship. She becomes protective of what you are building together. This does not mean she isolates herself. It means she filters more carefully. She is mindful of influences, conversations, and dynamics that could disrupt the peace. That mindfulness is intentional. She is thinking beyond temporary fun and prioritizing long-term security. And often, you will only see the outcome, her presence beside you, not the decisions she made privately to be there. She sacrifices ego as well. In moments where pride could take over, she chooses humility. She apologizes when necessary. She initiates difficult conversations. She forgives faster than she used to. Ego demands to be right. Love demands to be connected. When she values the relationship deeply, protecting that connection becomes more important than protecting her image. Letting go of ego is one of the hardest sacrifices because it requires vulnerability. It requires trust that her openness will not be exploited. Perhaps the most invisible sacrifice is mental space. When a woman loves deeply, she carries you in her thoughts. She worries about your stress, your goals, your well-being. She thinks about how to support you in ways you may never explicitly request. That emotional labor is quiet but powerful. It is the unseen effort behind her encouragement, her patience, her consistency. She may never list these sacrifices. She may never highlight what she gave up or adjusted. But in the rhythm of her daily choices, in the softness of her responses, in the stability she helps create, those quiet sacrifices speak louder than any announcement ever could. Respect and admiration rarely arrive in dramatic declarations. They reveal themselves in patterns, in tone, in the smallest interactions that most people overlook. When a woman truly respects you, it shows in how she listens. Not the kind of listening where she waits for her turn to speak, but the kind where she absorbs what you are saying and remembers it later. She brings up details from past conversations. She considers your opinions before making decisions. She values your perspective even when she does not fully agree. That quiet attentiveness is a form of honor. It communicates that your thoughts carry weight in her world. Admiration appears in how she speaks about you when you are not present. She does not mock your ambitions or downplay your strengths for social approval. Instead, she highlights your discipline, your work ethic, your integrity. Even subtle phrases like "he's very focused" or "he always handles things calmly" reveal pride. Admiration is not flattery, it is recognition of character. And when it is genuine, it seeps into everyday language. She positions you as someone she values, not someone she tolerates. That positioning shapes how others perceive you and, more importantly, how she continues to perceive you herself. Respect also shows in boundaries. A woman who respects you does not intentionally provoke jealousy to test your reaction. She does not flirt carelessly to gain attention. She is mindful of how her behavior reflects on the relationship. That mindfulness is not restriction, it is consideration. She understands that loyalty is not just physical, it is behavioral and emotional. Small decisions like being transparent about interactions or reassuring you without being asked demonstrate that she prioritizes trust over ego. Respect means she does not enjoy destabilizing the connection for temporary validation. In moments of disagreement, admiration becomes even clearer. She does not attack your identity when challenging your opinion. She separates the issue from your character. Instead of saying, "You always mess this up," she focuses on the specific concern. That distinction may seem minor, but it reflects emotional maturity. It shows that she sees you as capable and competent, even when conflict arises. When admiration exists, criticism is constructive rather than destructive. She believes in your ability to improve rather than assuming your flaws define you. Small acts of support also signal deep respect. She encourages your goals without constantly needing reassurance that she comes first. She understands that your purpose contributes to who you are. Instead of competing with your ambitions, she aligns with them. She may adjust plans during high-pressure periods. She may check in to see how she can ease your stress. These gestures are often subtle: a thoughtful message before an important meeting, patience during demanding weeks. But they carry significant meaning. They show that she values your growth and does not feel threatened by it. Even body language reveals admiration. The way she looks at you when you speak passionately, the softness in her expression when you solve a problem, the calm confidence she displays when introducing you to others. These are not rehearsed behaviors. They are instinctive responses rooted in genuine regard. Respect and admiration are not loud emotions. They are steady. They manifest in consistency, in thoughtfulness, in protective loyalty, in the quiet rhythm of everyday life. They shape how she treats you, how she defends you, how she stands beside you without needing to announce the depth of what she feels. Vulnerability is not a woman's first instinct. It is something she earns the right to express. In the early stages of connection, she may present strength, composure, independence. She measures safety before revealing depth. But when she falls deeply in love, vulnerability stops feeling like a risk and starts feeling like a bridge. She begins to open doors that were once locked. She shares stories she doesn't tell casually. She admits fears she normally hides behind confidence. And this shift is profound because vulnerability is costly. It exposes her to rejection, misunderstanding, and emotional pain. When she offers it freely, it is not accidental. It is intentional emotional investment. As vulnerability becomes her love language, honesty replaces performance. She no longer feels the need to impress you with perfection. She lets you see her bad days without masking them. She expresses jealousy without disguising it as indifference. She confesses overthinking instead of pretending she is unaffected. This transparency signals trust. It means she believes you will handle her emotions with care rather than judgment. Instead of communicating through hints or tests, she communicates through truth. That truth may not always be polished, but it is real, and real intimacy can only grow where honesty is safe. You will notice that she begins asking for reassurance directly rather than manipulating situations to extract it. She says, "I need clarity," instead of withdrawing to see if you chase. She says, "That hurt me," instead of becoming cold. Vulnerability simplifies communication. It removes the layers of pride and ego that complicate relationships. When love deepens, winning arguments becomes less important than being understood. She is willing to admit when something triggers her, even if the trigger comes from her own past. That level of emotional exposure requires courage. It requires faith that you will not weaponize her softness later. Vulnerability also appears in how she expresses affection. Her compliments become more personal. Her appreciation becomes more specific. Instead of generic praise, she articulates exactly what she values about you. She reveals how you make her feel internally, safe, inspired, calm. Sharing those emotions places her heart in your hands. It communicates that your presence impacts her deeply. And when she allows you to see the depth of that impact, she is trusting you with something fragile. She is trusting you not to dismiss it or take it for granted. There is also a surrender that comes with emotional vulnerability. Not surrender in power, but surrender in control. She stops trying to calculate every outcome. She allows herself to care openly. She invests without constantly preparing for exit. She shares future hopes that include you. That openness is not naive, it is brave. It means she values connection more than self-protection. It means she has decided that the potential for love outweighs the fear of loss. Vulnerability, in this sense, becomes her most powerful expression of commitment. When a woman uses vulnerability as her love language, she is offering you access to her inner world, not the curated version, not the guarded version, but the unfiltered one. Her fears, her dreams, her insecurities, her needs all become visible. And that visibility transforms the relationship into something deeper than attraction. It becomes emotional intimacy rooted in trust, courage, and the willingness to be fully seen without armor. Intensity is seductive. It feels passionate, urgent, consuming. In the beginning of a connection, intensity can look like constant texting, dramatic confessions, overwhelming affection, and emotional highs that make everything else fade into the background. But intensity is often fueled by novelty, uncertainty, and emotional adrenaline. It burns bright, and sometimes it burns fast. Consistency, on the other hand, is quieter. It does not rush. It does not overwhelm, it repeats. And repetition is far less glamorous than fireworks, which is why many people underestimate its value. Yet when a woman is deeply in love, what you will notice is not constant emotional spikes, but steady presence. Consistency means she shows up the same way on good days and difficult ones. Her care does not disappear when life becomes stressful. She does not withdraw affection to create suspense. She does not alternate between extreme closeness and sudden distance. Instead, her behavior stabilizes. You can predict her effort. You can rely on her words matching her actions. There is comfort in that predictability. It signals emotional maturity. Deep love does not need to prove itself through grand gestures every week. It proves itself through reliability, through being there again and again without needing applause. Intensity often seeks validation. It wants reassurance, immediate reciprocation, dramatic affirmation. Consistency seeks stability. When a woman loves deeply, she is not trying to keep you addicted to emotional highs. She is trying to build something sustainable. She checks in because she cares, not because she is afraid you will forget her. She supports you steadily rather than only during peak moments. Her affection does not fluctuate based on minor misunderstandings. That steadiness is not boredom. It is security. It reflects a decision rather than a mood. Another difference is emotional regulation. Intensity reacts. It amplifies small issues into large emotional waves. It thrives on passion but struggles with patience. Consistency is measured. It communicates before escalating. When conflict arises, she does not threaten the relationship to regain control. She works through discomfort instead of dramatizing it. That ability to remain grounded during tension reveals depth. It shows that her commitment is not tied to temporary feelings. Feelings shift, commitment remains. And deep love is anchored in commitment. Consistency also demonstrates long-term thinking. A woman who loves deeply is not focused only on how you make her feel today. She is thinking about the future she is slowly building with you. That mindset influences her daily actions. She invests time even when it is inconvenient. She prioritizes communication even when she is tired. She chooses respect even when she is emotional. These are not intense acts, they are deliberate ones. They reflect an understanding that relationships are maintained through small, repeated efforts rather than occasional dramatic displays. Perhaps the most powerful aspect of consistency is the sense of peace it creates. You do not feel anxious about where you stand. You do not question her loyalty every week. Her presence becomes something you can lean on rather than chase. That emotional stability is not as thrilling as chaos, but it is infinitely more valuable. Intensity can make you feel alive in the moment. Consistency makes you feel secure over time. And when a woman offers steady effort, unwavering respect, and predictable care without needing constant emotional theatrics, what she is really offering is something far deeper than passion alone. Deep love is never just a feeling. It is a pattern of behavior. It is revealed in emotional safety, in quiet sacrifices, in subtle respect, in consistent effort, and in the courage to be vulnerable. Attraction may start the connection, but it is consistency that sustains it. Intensity may create sparks, but emotional security builds the foundation. When a woman is deeply in love, she does not simply express desire. She demonstrates devotion through stability, maturity, and intentional presence. Her softness is not weakness. Her sacrifices are not accidental. Her admiration is not performative. Every small action carries meaning because it is rooted in choice, not impulse. If you understand these signs, you stop chasing noise and start recognizing depth. You stop confusing chaos with passion and start valuing peace as power. A woman who loves deeply does not need to announce it constantly. Her behavior speaks in calm loyalty, steady support, and unwavering respect. And when you recognize that kind of love, the real question is not whether she feels deeply. The real question is whether you are prepared to meet that depth with the same level of emotional strength, leadership, and consistency.